Hello everyone, today is 31st of October. My name is Sahil and welcome to the newspaper analysis. Friends, today into the GS folder we will be taking a quote from the Martin Luther King Jr. He had talked about the non-violence. He was very much influenced by the Gandhiji, so Gandhian thought will be reflected into the writings of the Martin Luther King Jr. He says, non-violence means avoiding not only the external physical violence but also internal violence of spirit. You not only refuses to shoot a man but you refuse to hate him. Now guys, this particular kind of a value or teaching is very important into the ethical conduct of the human beings. So therefore we can utilize in our GS paper number 4 into the topic number 1, that is the ethics and the human interface. So that's it, and now let's take the newspaper analysis. Now, friends, first of all, let's have the overview of the articles that we will be discussing today. Now, this particular article has been taken from the Hindu newspaper and it is talking about the new wage code and the rules which are being framed here. Then, guys, this particular article has been taken from the Business Standard and it is also talking about the new rules with respect to the labor code bills. Then, guys, this particular article is taken from the Express newspaper and it is talking about the Sathi scheme of the Niti Aayog and how the protests are erupting on it. Then, guys, this particular article has been taken from the Hindu newspaper and it is talking as how India's Atmanirbhar Bharat Abhiyan is not the perpetual stage of import barriers. Then, guys, this particular article has been taken from the Hindu newspaper and it is talking about the Sponge City mission and how into the disaster management we can utilize it. Then, guys, this particular article is also from the Hindu newspaper and it is talking about the recent change into the monsoon patterns. Then, guys, this particular article I have taken from the Indian Express newspaper and it is talking about the new euthanasia rules which have been formed into the New Zealand. Then, guys, this particular article has been taken from the Hindu paper and it is talking about the new strategic period of the China. So, guys, these are all the important articles and now let's discuss them in detail. Now, guys, these two articles, this article has been taken from the Hindu newspaper and this article has been taken from the Business Standard newspaper. And they are talking about the new rules that government is framing for the labor reforms in our country. Now, labor reforms is a very important topic into the GS paper number 3 under the section of Indian economy. Now, see, if I tell you the labor is a subject which is provided into the concurrent list, and as a consequence, both the state as well as the center government had formed more than 100 laws onto the labor. Now, guys, recently we had seen it in our newspaper analysis also that government has consolidated many of the laws into four simple labor codes. That is the labor code on industrial relation, the labor code on occupational safety, health and working conditions, and the third is the labor code on social security. These three codes have just been passed recently, whereas one more fourth code was also there, that was the code on wages, but this was passed last year, that is in 2019. Now, in order to make these codes operational, substitute rules have to be framed, and now these two articles are talking about these rules. Now, guys, first of all, the idea to consolidate such labor laws, this particular idea was given by the second National Commission on Labor, which was constituted in 2002. Now, guys, the rules which have been framed, first of all, it has been mentioned that the new wage code which was passed in 2019, there it has been provided that the bonus which is to be paid to the employees, it could be withheld if an employee is facing the sexual abuse charges. Earlier also the rules were there into such particular lines, but then the bonus can only be held if a person has been dismissed due to fraud, violent conduct, theft or sabotage. And now this new ground has been added and it goes in sync with the laws such as the prevention of sexual harassment of women at the workplace and all such these kind of things. And it has been said that such kind of provisions can act as an effective deterrent. See, often the sexual abuse at the workplace, it starts with some petty kind of things such as stalking, voyeurism, etc., and then it metamorph into such kind of heinous activity. But from the very first day, if the consequences such as the withholding of a monetary thing is made very clear, then the initial steps might not be taken and it will be bringing some kind of respites. Then guys, into this business standard, some other rules have also been mentioned. It has been said that as per the code on industrial relation, now the mandatory form filing etc has been reduced substantially from 30 mandatory forms now, and just 12 mandatory forms will be needed. Moreover, the provision with respect to the permissions etc has been digitized. For example guys, if I tell you, now the new labor code on industrial relation, it provides that the companies who have less than 300 workers, they can lay off the worker, they can retrench the worker without taking the government permission. However, they have to intimate the government. Though the companies which are having more than 300 workers, they can also retrench the worker, can lay off the worker, but after taking the permission. Now taking of this permission can be applied onto the digital format. Moreover guys, I had used two words here, that is the laying off and the retrenchment. What is the difference between them? Laying off means that temporarily you are relieving a person from his duties, whereas retrenchment means that you are full-fledgedly removing him from the job. So guys, these are particular things. However, you don't need to remember the technicalities into the rules. Just keep these 3 4 references of rules into your mind if a question onto the labor law comes, so there you can write what kind of changes have been brought. So guys, that's all about this particular article, and now we'll move to the next article. Now guys, this particular article has been taken from the Indian Express newspaper and it is very important for our GS paper number 2. Now guys, what has happened? Here you can see the news that the Odisha is planning to merge 8,000 schools. Now, just before going into this particular news, I would like to give you some background. See, the Niti Aayog 2 years back started Sathi scheme. Now Sathi stands for Sustainable Action for Transforming Human Capital in Education. Now guys, under this Sathi scheme, 3 states were selected, that is the Jharkhand, Madhya Pradesh and Odisha. And it was said that into these 3 states, the government school system will be transformed, it will be made more responsive so that they can cater to the needs of education of the children. Guys, it was aimed that these states will be made as the role model states, and the islands of excellence or the schools etc which are there, they will be mainstreamed. Now guys, the tripartite arrangement was signed, that is the Niti Aayog, the state government and the private sector, all will be coming together to transform the face of education. Guys, the innovative things, the scientific domains etc were to be streamlined here. Now what has happened, Niti Aayog had said that the schools which are having the low enrollment rate, they should be merged in order to save the resources. And guys, in Odisha, 8,000 schools have been identified in 15 districts, and these schools are to be merged under the Sathi. Guys, it has been said that the government will be providing the daily allowance to the children to travel if due to the merger their school has been lost and now they have to go to other school. Now guys, there are huge protests which are going on. It has been said that out of these 8,000, many of the schools are into the tribal areas, they are into such kind of locations where the traveling even 1 kilometer is very much difficult, and there if you are pushing the student to travel at a far off distance, he will altogether be dropping out from the school and the gross enrollment ratios will be going down. So it has been said that the Sathi scheme, just in order to bring the financial proprietariness, it is taking such kind of step, and it is also a clear cut violation of the Right to Education Act, where it has been clearly promised that the students will be provided the school within the walkable distance from their locations. So guys, on to this particular thing, the protests are going on, and whenever we are writing about GS paper number 2, we can write that how often the schemes which intend to do good brings some bad, and often such ill thought legislations are also flouted. So guys, that's all about this particular news. Now we'll be moving to the next article. Now, guys, this particular article pertains to the recent address which has been made with respect to the Atmanirbhar Bharat Abhiyan that is being made out. Now, guys, first of all, I tell you, government started this Atmanirbhar Bharat Abhiyan, and as to give a promotion to our domestic industries, government had also imposed the import tariffs onto the goods that are coming via the way of imports. Now, this particular step of government has been called as the protectionism. It has been said that government is not endorsing the order of the free global trade. And in this particular thing, now the Niti Aayog had said that India is actually not a closed economy. Rather, India is moving towards a self-reliance, and all the high tariffs that India had imposed, they come with a sunset clause. It means that after a particular time limit, on their own self, they will be expired. So just we are giving an impetus and we are not going into the protectionism. Moreover, guys, just a few days back we had discussed the production linked incentive scheme, where government said that if companies, they will manufacture more over their production which they have done into the last year, then they will be given the benefits worth of 4 to 6%, by which their cost can come down and their goods can become more competitive. Now, guys, up till now, for the electronic component, for the pharmaceutical component, etc., such PLI scheme has been started. However, now government had said that into the course of time, this PLI scheme will be expanded to 9 to 10 sectors, so that cumulatively onto the entire manufacturing front, we can provide such incentives so that the firms can relocate to India from the China and such economies. Fine, guys, we can see here it has been said that incentives for manufacturing investment to be extended to 9 to 10 sector. Protection from import won't be perpetual, it will not be always. India not turning into a closed economy, and incentives which are being provided, they will operate within the multilateral trading rules framework. So, guys, this is all about this particular thing. Now we'll be moving to the next article. Now, friends, this particular article has been taken from the Hindu newspaper and it is very important with respect to the GS paper number 3, disaster management, under the topic of flooding. Now, guys, here the sponge city concept has been explained. Now, you have seen that in past few days, the Hyderabad had received the enormous rains, and because of that rain, huge destruction has been carried into the Hyderabad. Now, such a kind of instance is not unique to the Hyderabad, and often such things we had seen. For example, 5 years ago, Chennai was flooded during this particular time. Now, few days back, the Gurugram was flooded. Then Mumbai often gets flooded when the rainfall comes. So often the rainfalls and the subsequent urban flooding is a common disaster which India faces. Now, guys, often various important suggestions have been given as how drainage into these cities can be made so that they don't see such kind of urban flooding. Now, guys, for example, for Hyderabad, it has been said that the Post Dem Institute for Climate Impact Research suggested them certain tools by which they can mitigate such kind of things, but even till today such kind of mitigative tools have not been used. And not only into the Hyderabad, but such research institutions for nearly all the major cities and metropolitans have suggested certain innovative tools, but they don't rely on them. And now the time has come that we should focus on to such mitigative tools. Now, guys, it has been said that the October 2020 floods in Hyderabad, why they first of all caused so much of destruction? Because of two reasons. Number one, the water which was stored into the water bodies, it was not released onto the time. And secondly, the drainage infrastructure of the Hyderabad, it has become redundant. And guys, this problem comes in nearly every metropolitan city. It has been said that in last 20 years, the Hyderabad city had grown 4 times more to its original built up, and now simply the drainage systems are not sufficient to cope up with the burden. So what could be the way forward into this particular thing? Now, guys, it has been said that the sponge city concept should be explored. Sponge city means to make the cities more permeable. Now, guys, we need to develop our landscaping into the cities in such a way that they absorb the water which is being brought by the rain or by the runoff. Now, this particular water will be absorbed, it will be filtered by soil, and the water ultimately will be reaching to the urban aquifers. And from these urban aquifers, the water can be collected through the urban wells, and this particular water can be used for the drinking purpose, for any other kind of purposes into the city. And it has been said that for such particular kind of thing, already government is having the schemes such as the smart city, the Amrut mission, the Hridaya mission specifically, which is about the heritage cities. So whatever funding, whatever money, whatever technological know-how is being provided into these schemes, by this, the sponge city concept should be explored. Moreover, along with making the sponge cities, we also need to work on to the wetland policy. It has been seen that in last few years the wetlands have completely diminished. Either they are being used for the agricultural purposes, or they are being diverted into the commercial lands. So such wetland policies are also needed to be thought out. Then guys, it has been said that the urban watershed management plan also needs to be redesigned. Guys, what happened today, right now we are building the drainage plans for every city onto the basis of their territorial boundary, but not onto the territorial boundary we need to do, rather onto the basis of entire watershed we need to make the drainage plans, so that more synchronized way we can handle the more water which comes into the times of the heavy rains. After that, it has been said that there are large number of organizations. For example, there is the National Disaster Management Authority, Metropolitan Development Authority, State Revenue and Irrigation Department. Often they work in kind of silos with each other, they don't synchronize with each other. Now the time is that they should come together and should holistically plan the water evacuation policies. After that, friends, it has been said that now the government should explore banning of the terrain alteration. Now, terrain alteration, what happens? The developers, when they start very big ticket projects, they alter the slope, they alter the topography, and this particular thing imposes problem when the water comes in heavy amount, or when the river starts to overflow. So developers need to be given a clear mandate that they will not be going into the terrain alteration. Moreover, guys, now into the construction, we need to use more porous building materials. Such technologies should be used which help in seeping of the water. Now you can see that the cities are entirely covered up into the concrete. They have been converted into the concrete jungles where the percolation of water is not possible, and it is leading to a problem in making the sponge cities. So guys, into this particular thing, such large number of interventions are needed to be made so that our cities become sustainable and livable. So guys, that's all about this particular article. Now we'll move to the next article. Now guys, this particular article has been taken from the Hindu newspaper, and it is again important for our GS paper number 1. Now this particular article is talking about the monsoons. Now guys, it has been said that southwest monsoon for 2020, they have started to withdraw from the Indian subcontinent, and the Indian Meteorological Department had said that this year we have received the surplus rain, that is the 8% surplus. Now this is the first time since 2010 that India is receiving over 100% of long term average rain. Now, last year in 2019 also there was the surplus rain, and this year also there is a surplus rain. So it has been said that when we study the long term data for the rainfall, it has been said that often a period comes when a rainy epoch starts. Now, rainy epoch is that period where for 3 4 years continuously high rains will be coming, and 2 year continuity into the line, we might have entered into the rainy epoch. Now, if more rains will be there, so it means that there will be more floods, more landslides, more overflowing dams. Moreover, in India, rains are also not properly evenly distributed. Some areas receive much more rain, some areas receive very moderate rain. So the areas which are already receiving more rains, they will be severely be disturbed. Moreover, it has been said that now the IMD had suggested that the withdrawal dates of the monsoon from India, they are also changing. This particular year there is a very much delay of the monsoons to leave India. Now therefore, the state as well as city disaster management preparedness also needs to be streamlined into this particular new discovery. Now even for the late of October, they needs to be ready, because the crisis or the kind of a problem can happen. Now guys, it has been said that along with the withdrawal of the southwest monsoon, there is one more phenomena which starts in India, that is the northeasterly winds. Now the northeasterly winds, they bring during this particular time the rain for two particular states, that is the Andhra Pradesh and Tamil Nadu. Now they have started to advent, and guys, every year 10 to 12% of rain is provided by the northeasterly winds. But even till today, their working model, their forecast has not been perfected, and it has been saying that many a times the northeasterly winds also bring such disasters for the Andhra Pradesh, Tamil Nadu, and such southern Indian states. So, guys, therefore, it has been said that the computing methodologies should be worked in such a way that not only southwest monsoon is our center of concern, rather northeasterly winds or the northeast monsoon also we need to take care of. So, guys, that's all about this particular article, and now we'll move to the next article. Now, guys, this particular article has been taken from the Indian Express, and it is talking about the new referendum that the New Zealand has taken with respect to the assistive dying. Fine. So, first of all, I will give you the background. What happened? Now, the New Zealand just had voted for a referendum, that is the End of Life Choice Act 2019. So, in 2019, this legislation was passed, but in order to come into force, the referendum was to be carried, which is now ongoing. Now, guys, this particular act provides that there are people who are facing some terminal illness. They are into a stage from where they can never recover. So, the choice should be given to those people that they can end their life by the help of some medical practitioner. Now, this particular thing has been opposed by various civil societies into the New Zealand. For example, Euthanasia for New Zealand group has criticized this particular thing. It has been called as a murder. It has been called that often it will be used into the arbitrary manner, and therefore end of life choice should not be given to the people. Now, guys, why the New Zealand is debating this particular thing? For that, I will give you the reference of the lawyer Lucretia Seales case of 2011. Now, lawyer Lucretia Seales, she was diagnosed with the brain cancer, and she was not in any condition to recover back, and she wanted that she should be given an assistive killing. But for that particular thing, there was huge problems which came, and to deal with these particular things into the future, the act was passed. Now, guys, it has been said that the assistive dying or helping a person to die, it has been banned into the cities such as UK, where it has simply been called as murder. Where there are other countries which have understood the problem or the pain that a person is facing when he's into the vegetative state, and it has been said that rather he should be given the death rather than making him suffer for such a long times. And therefore, the Australia, Canada, Luxembourg, Switzerland, and some of the states of the USA also, they had allowed the assistive dying. Now, guys, the New Zealand's example can be very much important and can very conveniently be utilized in GS paper number 4 into the case of the biomedical ethics. Now, guys, in India, if we talk about the assistive killing, so in India, the Aruna Shabag case is a very important example here. Now, Aruna Shabag, she was a nurse who was raped in 1973, and for last 42 years she have been into the vegetative stage. And for the assistive killing of the Aruna Shabag, the plea was made into the Supreme Court. It was said that the euthanasia should be administered to the Aruna Shabag. So there it was rejected, but Supreme Court there brought with one other important judgment, that is the passive euthanasia in India. Passive euthanasia, it was said that it is allowed, it is legal. First of all, what do we understand by this passive euthanasia? Guys, there could be two formats of the euthanasia: passive and the active. Active means that you are deliberately administering a person with some injection or a lethal substance by which he will die. So you are actively killing. Passive euthanasia is not giving him such kind of injection or something. Rather, you will withdraw the life care support, for example, onto the ventilator, etc., on which the person is dependent. You will withdraw that thing. So it has been said that into the passive way it is allowed, but not into the active way. So, guys, in India, the passive euthanasia has been allowed since 2018. So, guys, this is all about this particular thing. However, an ethical issue remains, that whether the human beings have an authority that they can withdraw some other person's life, or whether who had given them to decide that who wants to live, who wants to die. So, guys, this is all into this particular direction. Just as a reference, we will be using it. So that's it. Now we'll be moving to the next article. Now, guys, this particular article has been taken from the Hindu newspaper, and it is basically talking about the China's growth or the China's strategic period which China is looking. So, guys, now the China has released its manifesto, And China had said that 2025, 27, 2035 are the three important years for China, and China has to increase their economic strength, their military prowess into these particular years. First of all, it has been said that 2025 is a time when the 15th five-year plan of the China will be finishing off, and by then the demand is to be boosted, consumption is to be boosted, so that the manufacturing of the China can be given much more impetus. Then guys, it has been said that by 2027 the defense modernization of China has to be completed, and by 2035 big leaps have to be made in China. That is, the economic strength has to be increased. Moreover, the technological prowess of China has to be further enhanced. China need to go into the sectors such as the artificial intelligence, internet of things, machine to machine communication, self driven cars, renewable energy, etc. So by 2030, 2035, China need to transform. Guys, if you know, today China position itself as a hub for the low end manufacturing. Now China wants to remove this tag of the low end manufacturing, and therefore the 2035 is positioning China into that thing. Now it has been said that this particular year China's GDP will be reaching $15 trillion, and this is the massive seen the present condition or the present situation of pandemic as we are knowing. Moreover, it has also been said that by 2035 China will be increasing their per capita GDP to at least to nearly $10,000. Now guys, such kind of bold statements should also provocate India, that India should also bring such kind of strategic goals and such a strategic period, so that at least we can be relevant to the China in terms of competition. So guys, that's all about this particular article. So friends, that's all for today's newspaper discussion. I hope you are liking it. Thank you so much.